Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Zentrix, 7 Words, out November 11th on Listenable Records. The album has 11 tracks, 50 minutes in length, and this is the band's 7th full-length studio record. They are a UK thrash metal band. From a design point of view, this album has no surprises, at least not to me. It is exactly what I was hoping it would be, is exactly what I was expecting it to be. A very linear record, a record that has a sense of balance and cohesiveness. You don't see a lot of ebbs and flows throughout this album. It's more about the heaviness and the drive that the record creates, and that heaviness and drive is more than enough to keep the listener engaged and connected with the overall experience. So it has a simple way of being put together, but that simplicity works really well with the sound and the sound experience that comes with it. As far as the sound is concerned on this album, I really enjoyed the overall quality that it has. It still has the roots in an old school approach, but more so from an execution point of view rather than production. And this is important because you're able to see all the different elements that make up the soundscape on this album. The guitars, the diversity within the guitars, the drums, the bass really pops throughout this entire record, and then obviously the vocals. Everything is coming in their own lane, at their own pace, with their own idea of what they want from those individual elements, but also having an idea of how can you bring them together in order to give power to the overall end result. And this album has a lot of power. It has a lot of great sound quality. It's not overly polished, so when it comes to that more modern production, they were able to control it to a point that it doesn't take the raw feel, that edginess out of the sound, but still allows you to dissect the sound quality extremely well, and then execute the album, execute that sound with that old school style, with those old school approaches in terms of how they use the bass, in terms of how they use the guitars, changing the starting points, keeping the same elements alive and well from beginning to end, but just changing what's taking control of the song, or where you're starting and where you're going to finish. These are all important aspects of making a record feel engaging, feel entertaining, without necessarily having to change the makeup of the songs from track to track. And that's exactly the overall feel of this album. Now, within the sound, I have to mention the drums and guitars. And this is not to say that the bass work on this album is not great. I love the fact that it pops. I love the fact that you could hear it. It plays an important role in really gluing the overall experience. But let's face the facts, this album lives off the back of the guitars, and the drums allow the guitars to have that podium to really shine throughout the entire experience. I want to start off with the drums just because of that, because every time you have a movie and you have a great leading man or a great leading woman in a movie, you need a good supporting cast around it in order for that performance to really shine. That's the case with the drums on this record. That incredible supporting cast is there to really propel the guitars forward, but without that substance, without that power, without overpowering, the drums really play that important role in order to compact the sound, in order to ground the sound, not overpowering the other elements around it, rather just pushing them into the forefront and propelling them even further up, making the album at times feel very relentless in its existence, in its drive, in its force. So I enjoyed deeply the drums throughout the entire record, how they were recorded, how they were mixed, the power that provided the album. A lot of the thickness of the volume starts with that drum sound. Then comes the guitars. They are definitely the leading role in this album. Everything resonates, or everything lives off of what the guitars are doing sound-wise, from an experience point of view, in terms of the drive that they give. I just really felt connected with the album from that standpoint. An album that it doesn't matter where you look at, you're gonna see the guitars jumping into the forefront and taking control of the situation. I enjoy the acoustic side. Using acoustic guitars on an album like this really changes your perception. Using it as intros to songs really helps changing your perception of the track. It creates a different atmosphere. It allows you to still have that same thickness, that same grooviness, that same drive throughout the entire song, but having the acoustic at the beginning changes how you perceive the tracks. So it was an interesting element that they used really well throughout this record, but I enjoyed even more the chunkiness, the distortion, the heaviness, the grooviness, the drive, the solos on this album. Everything felt perfect to me. Everything felt like it was walking that fine line between bringing a little bit of a feel of the past with a more modern approach in terms of how you put together. The guitars really become the defining element when it comes to walking that fine line between the past and the present, and perhaps even the future. throughout the entire record. You're going to be able to see what they do, what they offer, and they're definitely going to be the conductor of the experience across all 11 songs. On top of all of this, you have the vocals. The mix for the vocals on this album is perfect because they're not deep into the sound. It's not like you have to listen to this song and try to decipher what's happening from a vocal standpoint. The vocals are in the forefront. The guitars might be driving the experience, but behind the steering wheel is definitely the vocals. I enjoy that aspect of the album. I enjoy the fact that the vocals felt a little bit detached from the sound itself. They felt a little bit ahead of everything else, not necessarily from a momentum or from a tempo point of view, but rather just where they sat in the mix. It made them more impactful, and therefore it made the lyrical content of the album more impactful, more noticeable. Having the vocals where they are with the delivery that they give also allows some of the choruses on this album to be super hooky and super catchy. Not only from a delivery standpoint, not just from where they are in the mix, but because you can really understand the lyrical content, and they use the lyrical content really well in those scores by making it simple, by making it pop, by making it noticeable. Those songs come to life and become almost the ebbs and flows of an album that doesn't really have ebbs and flows. You're jumping from chorus to chorus within the song, and then when you're jumping into a new song, you're starting to look for that same hook, for that same chorus, for that same earworm, and that's what's going to keep you motivated in terms of navigating this album. So the vocals play a huge role, not just from the delivery, but from what they offer as far as the lyrics and what's within them. Now, all around, this album is no frills, just riffs. That's what this album is all about. And if you're a fan of that, if you're a fan of thrash metal, if you like the sound, if you love the genre, and you love an album that really depends deeply on the guitars, on those riffs to push it forward with great vocals that match the intensity of the music that was written, then this album is a must check. You have to listen to this record because you're not going to be disappointed. Every single song fits the bill. Every single song brings quality to the table, which allows the album to not just be balanced from a design point of view, but also to be balanced from a quality standpoint. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Spit Coin. Great guitar sound, amazing vocal delivery. From the opening riff, you're glued to this track. Now, the verses feel a little bit thick, a little bit heavy. The vocals add to that thickness, add to that heaviness, and then the chorus slows the track down a little bit. It just allows you to better digest it. It gives you a little bit more time. It also allows the drums to come in with a little bit more power. At least you feel the power of the drums a lot better in the chorus than you do in the verses because of the way the song slows down. The way of the momentum of the track really allows you to feel all of the different parts just slightly better. This makes the track a lot more catchier. It makes the chorus really pop, and that becomes an absolute earworm. The solo complements the track, it adds value to the track, but let's keep it real here. This song is all about the chorus, it's about how it becomes in terms of the sound and the vocals, in terms of how it's delivered, and in terms of how you perceive it. It always comes down to that moment in the track, and that's what's going to keep you coming back for more as far as Spit Coin is concerned. Next, you have Everybody Loves You When You're Dead. Talk about hooky choruses. That line alone in the chorus will make you want to listen to this song time and time and time and time again. The acoustic opening for this track works really well. It sets up the song, it sets up how the song is going to come together, and it creates a little bit of a somber vibe. Not that this is a dark song all around, but it definitely touches on a dark topic. Maybe brings light to that dark topic, but a dark topic nevertheless. So starting off with that acoustic sound, it allows that element, that atmospheric element of the track, that sensation that you get when you listen to the song, to become a little bit more palpable, to become a little bit more noticeable. Now, as you're moving along, this track has thick guitars. The chorus brings in all of those elements together. It brings in melody, it brings in that somberness, it brings in those thick guitars. It almost blends the experience of the entire song in one single portion, in one single piece, and that allows the lyrics to really come to life in that specific chorus, and allows the whole chorus to feel a lot more powerful, a lot bigger. It has an incredible dynamic solo that injects so much power into this song. This track, while not living off of that solo, it would not be the same without this extended dynamic solo that just allows the song to breathe a little bit better. Last but not least, Kill and Protect. stop and go at the beginning. I love that very old school style in terms of starting off a song, and then it's off to the races. And when it's off to the races, the song never really slows down. This is a heavy, heavy, ripping song from start to finish, musically and vocally. There are some pockets within this track that the song slows down, almost stops, but those pockets just enhance the overall drive that the track has. The drums infuse so much power, so much heaviness into the overall songs, really helping the guitars feel even bigger, even thicker, even more powerful, pushing the song with a lot more momentum, with a lot more intent by using these two elements together as one to create the experience of movement from start to finish with those pockets, but those pockets once again just to enhance everything else that it is around it. Great experience, great track. This is it, Xentrix, 7 words, out November 11th on Listenable Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.